Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're looking at Canada, often called, one of the most beautiful and developed places in the world.
Exactly. And chances are, if you're listening, you've probably thought about Canada yourself.
Yeah.
Maybe for studying, maybe finding work, or even settling down.
Yeah, our source material really kicks off by acknowledging that interest. So our goal today, let's try and pull out the key info about Canada, make it really easy to understand based on what we've got here.
Sounds good. A solid overview.
Okay, so let's start with the basics. Geography. Where exactly are we talking about?
Right. So Canada's in North America,
Mhm.
and it's huge. Actually, the second largest country in the world by land area.
Wow, okay. Second largest. That's a lot of space. And politically, what are the key spots? Capital, biggest city.
The capital city is Ottawa, but the largest city, population-wise and economically, that's Toronto.
Got it. And languages, I know there's more than one official language, right?
That's right. Officially bilingual English and French. It sort of reflects its history.
Makes sense. And how does Canada generally come across internationally? What's its reputation like?
Well, the source really highlights its reputation for peace. And law and order, it's known for being safe, plus a strong focus on keeping the environment clean.
Okay. Peace, safety, clean environment. Key selling points, I guess.
Definitely things that attract people, yeah. Often ranks high in quality of life surveys because of them.
Now, the source makes an interesting point right away about the weather, comparing it specifically to India. What's the deal with Canadian weather?
Yeah, it's a big contrast. While we
Mhm.
think of the beauty, the climate can be, well, pretty extreme. Our source mentions winter temperatures hitting -20, even -30 Celsius.
-30, what?
Yeah, and usually with a fair bit of snow, so very different from what you typically experience in India, for example.
Okay, that's serious cold. You'd need a proper winter wardrobe, no doubt. But it's not winter all year round, is it? What about other seasons?
No, absolutely not. The summers are actually described as pleasant, really enjoyable. And you get the full 4 seasons. Proper summer, then autumn with all the leaf colors, winter with the snow, and then spring, which brings the rain and everything coming back to life.
So, a real cycle of distinct seasons. Sounds quite beautiful, actually, despite the cold.
Each has its own charm, definitely.
Let's switch gears to education. That's a huge factor for many people looking at Canada. What does the source say about its schools?
Canada's got a really highly regarded education system, world-class universities, colleges. The source specifically points out the University of Toronto, McGill University, Montreal, and UBC University of British Columbia.
Okay, those are big names. Prestigious institutions.
Absolutely. Known for strong academics, research. They rank well globally.
And what about for students coming from overseas, say from India? Any practical points mentioned?
Yeah, something important the source notes is that international students often get the chance to work part-time while they study.
Oh, that's useful.
It really is. Helps with the costs, plus you get some Canadian work experience. And it does mention that a lot of students from India, in particular, choose Canada for higher education.
That makes sense, leading nicely into jobs and maybe staying longer term. What kind of job opportunities are highlighted?
The source points to a few key sectors where there seems to be demand. IT, so tech jobs. Healthcare is another big one. And then there's construction and also trucking.
Interesting mix. IT, healthcare, construction, trucking. So skilled trades and professional roles.
Exactly. If you've got the skills and qualifications in those areas, the prospects look pretty good, according to the source.
And if someone wants to stay permanently, what are the routes? PR, right?
Permanent residency or PR. It allows you to live and work there indefinitely. The source mentions the main ways to get it are through express entry, that's the federal system for skilled workers, and also provincial nominee programs, the PMPs.
PMP, so provinces can pick people they need.
Sort of, yeah. Provinces use them to nominate people with skills that match their specific economic needs. So the message seems to be, look, if you have skills and experience Canada needs, building a future there is quite possible.
Right. Now, Canada's known for being multicultural. Our source talks about one community in particular, the Indian and Punjabi community. What does it say?
Yeah, it highlights a really significant and vibrant Indian population, especially people with Punjabi roots. It's quite concentrated in some cities.
Which ones?
Brampton, near Toronto, is mentioned specifically. Also, Toronto itself, Vancouver, and Surrey out in BC. These places have a very strong Indian presence.
And the source says it can feel almost like being back in India. How so?
Well, it mentions things like seeing temples, gurudwaras specifically, There are Punjabi schools, loads of Indian restaurants. You see big traditional weddings, Bhangra performances.
Wow, so the culture's really thriving there.
It seems so, yeah. The source paints a picture of a community really maintaining its heritage while being part of Canada.
And what kind of work are people in this community often involved in?
The source mentions truck driving is quite common, also running businesses, various kinds, and farming too. And it adds that these folks are generally well respected for their work.
Good to hear. A strong, contributing community. Okay, let's look broader now. Lifestyle advantages in Canada. What does the source point to?
A major one is free health care. That's a big plus mentioned. And then it circles back to that idea of Canada being peaceful, safe, and clean.
Okay. And societal norms, like how people interact, the rules.
There's an emphasis on, following the rules. Laws are strict and generally enforced. And there's a sense of trust in the police, according to the source.
Orderly, sounds like.
Yeah, and also inclusive. It mentions a good working environment where people are treated equally, regardless of, caste, religion, skin color, that sort of thing.
Okay, so definite positives there. But it can't all be rosy. Does the source talk about challenges or, the tougher realities?
It does try to give a balanced view. The very cold winters are mentioned again as a real challenge you have to adapt to.
Right, that keeps coming up.
And it also notes that finding that first job, especially in your field, can sometimes be difficult when you first arrive.
Ah, okay. Initial job search might take time. Anything else?
The cost of living is mentioned too. It can be pretty high, especially in the big cities like Toronto or Vancouver.
Right, housing and general expenses. So challenges are real. Cold, jobs, cost. But what's the overall take? Is it still seen as a good place despite these things?
The underlying message seems optimistic. It stresses that, yeah, there are hurdles, but success is definitely possible with hard work and persistence.
So not necessarily easy, but rewarding if you put the effort in.
Exactly. It positions Canada as a place for people who are hardworking, who have dreams, and are willing to, put in the work to achieve them.
Okay, so wrapping this up. We've covered Canada's size and location, the distinct seasons, including those cold winters, the strong education system, job prospects in specific fields, the pathways to PR, the very visible and active Indian community, lifestyle perks like healthcare and safety, but also the real challenges like initial job hunting and cost of living. Seems like a pretty thorough overview from our source.
I think so too. It touches on the key things someone considering Canada would need to think about. It paints a picture of, a country with a lot to offer beauty, opportunity, but also one that requires adjustment and effort. It's not necessarily a free ride.
Definitely. And reflecting on all this, our source hourly ends with something for you, the listener, to think about if, after hearing all this, you are seriously considering Canada. The question is, what practical steps, what preparations are you actually making for that potential journey? Something to mull over.
A good question to end on. Preparation is key.
Indeed. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.